In this lesson, we're going to be talking about stylizing textures for 2D motion graphics with 3D depth and how to create textures that look like they belong in a 2D motion graphic piece, but they still have the depth of a 3D piece of motion graphics work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this Cinema 4D project, and you can see kind of what we have going on here. So very simple. We've got kind of a ground plane, a sky that's pretty close to the same color, and this road that kind of stretches off to infinity. And then we have our car right in the middle, and our camera kind of glides around that in a circle. And now the textures that we already have here, you can see, are totally matte. There aren't any kind of isn't any kind of shading on it. There's really nothing on there that's going to give it a lot of depth, besides the fact that the camera gives us that through the deformation that we get on those pieces. So you can kind of see that far away line kind of twisting through there on the horizon, and also all of the deformation we get in the car, of course. Now, I wouldn't recommend for a car this detailed to just slap one texture on the whole thing. So let's go through and add a few different textures to the whole body of the car, but still in keeping with that very flat idea that we've got for the sky and the ground plane. So I'm going to go into my create and just hit new material. And we'll go ahead and open that material up just by double clicking it. And I want to go with kind of a red color, almost something that's sort of coral or orange looking. And that's going to just kind of complement what we have for the road color. So I think that's a good color there. That actually might be a little bit dark. Let's go a little bit brighter than that. Great. Okay, so I'm going to stick with that as kind of the base, or really the mid color, and then I want to come up with two other colors, one that's brighter and one that's darker than this. So what I'll do is I'll just duplicate this a couple of times, and you can see that I've got these other two colors. Now right away you're going to notice this is a little different looking than what we have over here. And that's because we changed the color in the color channel instead of the way that we have the color changing for those other layers, or those other textures rather. So what we need to do is mimic the way that we're colorizing this material in the same way that we're doing these two, and that is through the luminance channel. So what I'll do is select my color, grab the color we got from just editing those sliders, and we'll come down to luminance and then drop that on the luminance channel. We'll enable our luminance and then turn off our color and our specular, and now you can see that is a very flat looking color and very different from what we had before. Okay, great. So that looks much better now. And then we can go in and do this for our other two colors, except this time what I want to do is actually edit this a little bit, because as I said, I want this one to be a little bit darker, and then we'll have one that's a little bit lighter. So just kind of pulling that down to make it maybe a little bit darker than that still. I want there to be a visible difference. Maybe kind of pull that green up just a little bit. Not quite that brown looking. Perfect. Okay. And then we'll go lighter with this one over here. So we'll just open that up. Make sure you move the color over to the luminance color. Turn on the luminance, turn off the color, turn off the specular, and then we'll just make this slightly lighter. Perfect. Okay, so we'll stick with those colors for this car, and I want to go ahead and start applying those. So for the body of the car, let's add this really flat red texture, and I'm just going to go through kind of scrubbing through and adding that to the pieces that are most obviously part of the body of the car. So kind of these pieces here are the ones that we see the most for that. Great. Okay, now let's go ahead and add a little bit of a change for some of those other pieces. So let's go darker for the wheels, or rather for the tires. And then for the actual wheel, we can go either the same shade of red that we have been choosing, or maybe try our lighter color. So maybe something like that. Now, because this has been broken down so far, I'm going to undo that option. And let's actually go into our Challenger and start to change a few things in here. So the rocker is going to be these two little pieces. I think I'd like to go darker on that, so I'll drop that in. We already have our hood and our trunk. We've got our vents, which are going to be located, let's see here, we might not be able to see them in this particular shot. It's going to be in the back, and we kind of missed the back, so I'll just drop a color on that. Now the wipers, the windshield, I want to be this lighter color, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that on there. And so let's do our wipers in the darker color so that we've got a third color there. And then we've got our cowl, which if we kind of zoom out, you can see what that is. That's this piece right here. And I think we could go, let's go darker with that as well. And then we've got our bumper in the back, which we see just a little bit of here, so let's go darker on that. And then we've also got our front bumper. We'll go ahead and go darker with that as well. Then we've got our back window. All my windows I want to go the lighter color for. And our window frame, it looks like we might have added our pink texture to something that maybe we want to have a dark texture on. So I'll go ahead and drop the dark texture onto the window frame. Anything that's a frame, I'd rather have that dark texture on. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and add the dark texture to the trim. And then we'll come in for the grill. And with that selected, that may be a different grill than what we are looking at. Looks like maybe it's going to be behind it. Let's just try a lighter color with that. There we go. And then the grill frame, let's go darker. Our tail lights and any other lights, I'm going to go with a lighter color, as well as my back grill, and I'll just style the back grill and back grill frame after the front. The fuel is going to be located right there, that little piece, so let's go darker for that. Front lights, as I said, all the lights I want to be lighter. And then we've got our axles, which are going to be kind of difficult to see, but since we're going lighter for the inside of the wheels, let's just go ahead and keep with that. And we'll go ahead and put the lighter material on those. Then we've got our miscellaneous, which is going to be just these little random pieces right here. And let's go darker on those. Our nameplate is going to be right there in the front. Let's go darker on that. Our antenna, let's just go lighter with that one, just kind of the medium color. And now we're down to our wheels, which is kind of where this got started. So for the wheel itself, I want that to be pink. And if I come around here where we can see one of them, you'll see that took more of that into consideration there. So we've got our tire and our wheel. And then I'll just go through and add that for the other pieces as well. The other wheels. Just a few more here because we do already have the, let's see here. That can be on the subdivision surface or on the wheel itself. Either one will work. And then we've got a few more here. Our mirrors. Let's go ahead and go to the medium red with that. And the door handle, let's have that contrast a little bit so we can go darker. The door trim, I want to go darker on that as well. And we already colorized the door. So let's take a look at what this car looks like now, kind of at this last shot in our picture viewer. Make sure there wasn't any pieces that we missed. And you can see it's just very flat looking, but you can imagine maybe shooting out a few passes that will kind of isolate some of those pieces. And then you can add some motion graphics, maybe add a few textures. It's really relatively quick to texture something in this way. And so if you just have a model and you just want to animate a camera around it really quickly and have this very flat styled 2D motion graphics, this is a very easy way for you to do that. So I would definitely recommend trying it out if you're going for that very flat style, but you have a great model that you still want to be able to show off. Okay, that about does it for our matte textures. Let's go ahead and jump into our next lesson where we'll be talking about the lighting tool.